Welcome to sewing class. This is Annette Julie, and today we're working on hand sewing, and we're working on our hand overcast. So in the first video, you saw me stitch this line with back stitches at both ends, and also draw the grid so that we can prepare for sewing. So if you haven't seen the first video, please watch it. And we're working on the hand overcast. So go ahead and take your thread, and let's tie some knots at one end. Let's tie knots right on top of each other. And this is a single ply of thread. We're going to tie 3 knots. And we're going to trim our thread close. Then you can go ahead and wax your thread from the knot up to the tip. And beeswax works extremely well for binding the thread legs together at the end, also for helping to keep the thread untangled. Makes for easy threading. And now you have your thread prepared. You have a knot at one end and the single thread at the other. And we're going to start at the bottom here by anchoring this. So you're going to go in the seam allowance and you're going to come up. Go over a little 1/16 of an inch and go back down. And what we've done is we've hidden the knot under the seam, but now we're going to anchor it to the front of the fabric. We're looking at the inside or wrong side of the fabric, where all the lines are that we've drawn. When we go over here, this is the right side of the fabric. Just go over a couple little grains and come right back up to the wrong side. Now we have fully anchored that, and the knot is hidden under the seam allowance, anchored it to the front. Now we're ready to start our catch stitch. So we're going to go under the seam allowance, come right back up on the next line that's a 1/4 inch away, and we're going to let that thread naturally roll over the edge. And this is going to give us a little bit of a diagonal stitch line. Okay, so I'm going to go under, come back up on our 1/4 inch line. There we go. Now, if your stitch is too tight or too loose, you can take the needle tip and help to arrange that. Also, too, sometimes maybe it's not looking exactly like the last stitch. You can arrange it along the edge. We're going to go under the seam allowance, come back up on that 1/4 inch line and pull our thread through. Underneath the seam allowance, come back up, pull that through. So we are not going all the way to the right side of the fabric. We're just staying on the wrong side, and we're just giving a treatment to finish the edge. That's starting to look really nice. Now, say that your thread legs are the same length right now. You need to pull and shorten the other thread leg to give you room to continue going up the seam. We're going up that 1/4 of an inch, wrapping around the edge. Arrange that thread with your needle so that it can lie nice and flat. Up another 1/4 of an inch. Get it right on that line. We're hand overcasting. Arrange the thread on the edge so it looks the same. And like I said, this is not going to the front side. This is just on the wrong side. And this is a type of treatment to finish an edge of your fabric. And we've got a few more stitches, and then we're going to come to the end. Then I'm going to show you how to anchor that stitch at the end. And then you will repeat these steps on the other side of the seam allowance. It really works well to have a grid when you're first starting to learn how to sew, or even when you aren't, just because it helps you to make everything perfect. You're training your eye and your hand all at the same time. Let's lay this down and see how it's looking. Oh, that looks very nice. We don't want to pull too tight. You can loosen those stitches if you need to. Also, I'm going to pull up on my thread leg, and I'm going to make my other thread leg shorter so I have a little bit more room to sew with. Now, this is something that happens when you're sewing. Your thread gets twisted sometimes, so let your needle just hang there and untwist that thread if it's ending up being a little bit tight and twisted. Okay, let's go underneath. Feel free to use a thimble if you would like to. Just a couple more stitches. Better arrange that thread to get that nice angle. Okay, let's see what this is looking like. Looking very nice and consistent. We want all those stitches to look the same. Let's go ahead and make our last stitch up here at the top before we anchor this to the front. Okay, that all looks good, nice and even. Now, go back down right next to the stitch that you came up. Okay. Now, push that seam allowance back, and let's go all the way through to the face side of the fabric. Go over just a couple little grains. We're going to come up again. Underneath that seam allowance, we've just left a little dot on the face. Now here's the seam allowance, and we're going to tie a knot. So if you need something to hold it back so you can work with it, place something down there. We're going to put our needle through our thread, put our finger or fingernail right on where we want that knot to be, and we're going to hold that knot in position. And you can tie that knot 2 to 3 times. Then we're going to go ahead and trim it nice and close. And we'll give this a good pressing. And then we'll continue on the other side. This is your hand cast overstitch with 3/4 inch seam allowance. This is Annette Jouilly, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Au revoir!